Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Maddie's Rap with your favorite author and storyteller, Matt D. Talford. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, you will consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell up to all so that you'll be notified when I upload new content. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, family. Welcome back. It is you that makes doing Maddie's Rap such a joy. You guys, man, the love you guys give me, the comments, the love you guys show to me when I'm doing a premiere of a new video, and the love you guys show me by showing up each and every time I do a live video, it means all the world to me. And you guys make this easy, and you guys make this easy to do. You really do. You really do. Because if it weren't for you guys, I don't know if I'd still be doing this channel, baby. So welcome back, family. Welcome back. And by the way, if you are a returning subscriber, y'all go ahead and do me a favor right now and hit that like button, because if you're a returning subscriber, you're back because you like me, right? So go ahead and hit that like button right now, because I'm guilty of it too sometimes. Sometimes I will watch a video that I actually like and see the little thing in the screen there that says, hey, this is the next video popping up, and I forget to hit the like button. And listen, content creators need your likes if you like the video. So if y'all like me, y'all are back because you like me, all right? So there's no if you're a returning subscriber. Go ahead and hit that like button for me right now so that there's no danger of you forgetting by the end of this video. Now, let me jump right into today's topic. Thank you to those of you who watched and commented on my pre-review of the film, The Book of Clarence. I read all of your comments, and I thank you guys for reading and watching that and leaving a comment. I really do thank you guys. That was an interesting film, and as promised, I told you guys I would be delivering a full review of the film in a couple days after watching it. Okay, today's date is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024, and I saw the film 2 days ago. It was Sunday the 21st. So, without further ado, let me get into that full review, but not before this short break, okay? You're watching Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. And without further ado, I'm going to get into this review, all right? And I wasn't necessarily trying to rhyme, but I do that sometime, okay? It's never intended, okay? I don't script that, I don't practice it. It just comes out that way. Now, the Book of Clarence, all right? Now, I talked about for those of you that saw the pre-review, oh, by the way, if you are someone who does not like to hear about a film before you've seen it, you want to turn this off, okay? And I'll make sure that I put the words spoiler alert in the title, okay? Now, so I'm about to go in on this. If you have not seen it and you don't want to know about it, turn it off. Now, there are some people that don't care about you telling them about a film or a book or whatever. They're going to go see it or buy it anyway, all right? So that being said, I wanted to get that out of the way. Now, this is a spoiler alert, okay, for the last time. Now, in the pre-review, I talked about some of the trailers and how demonic one or two of them were. I'm not going to talk about the trailers, but I thought interesting or of note or noteworthy was the synchronicity that I noticed going into the theater. So first of all, I thought I had the theater to myself. I was like, yes, I got a whole theater to myself. It's the matinee. It's Sunday. This is everything. Like, I'm not watching football. I'm going to go watch this movie. And I had the theater to myself for about 5 minutes. And then a couple came in, and then a mom and her 3 children came in. So that was a total of 7 of us in the theater. 7 of us in the theater. Not bad. It was, I had enough space. I didn't have to listen to any of the stuff that made me stop going to the movies in 2019, which is like the and all of this popcorn crunching, and it sounds like it's right in my ear. My ears are pretty sensitive, and this anyway. That was one of the reasons I don't like to go to the movies. People's kids kicking the back of the seat and stuff. I understand. I'm not a parent, so maybe whatever, but still. Anyway, I didn't have to worry about any of that. I had plenty of space, but I thought it interesting and noteworthy that there were 7 of us in the theater, and there were 7 movie trailers. So for those of y'all that like to play around with synchronicities and stuff, go have fun with that, all right? Now, I won't get into those trailers. I was going to talk about them. I put them in the notes, but I want to keep this about the Book of Clarence. So the movie opens up and there's a bunch of crucifixes. The opening scene, there's a bunch of crucifixes, and there's a there's a European guy there whose hair is done kind of like Cesare Borgia, aka the person that pushed on the world, or the image they pushed on the world as quote unquote Jesus Christ. Okay, they had his hair done like that. He's got his arms stretched and his head kind of slumping to the side, and they're talking or whatever. And one of the main characters, what's his name? I'll get to that. But Clarence, okay, played by Lakeith Stanfield, who was brilliant, is in this scene, and they're showing you, I guess, what you find out at the end of the movie, that they're showing you the end at the beginning. But anyway, and then the layout wasn't necessarily the way it appeared in the beginning, so I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure why they did it like that, or if that was a bad edit or whatever, or if that was intentional. I don't know. But that's small. When book 1, the 13th Apostle, that's the way it's titled. So some movies, they'll say chapter 1, chapter 2, part 1, part 2, whatever. He goes book 1. And I thought that was interesting because I'm still reading. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm still reading The Wars of the Jews by Flavius Josephus. And each new instance of that book is called book whatever, book this number, book that number. So I thought that was very cool the way they did it. And I may even mention Wars of the Jews by Flavius Josephus later in this review. But let me keep going. So the very next scene after we see the title, Book 1, the 13th Apostle, is a white guy with blue eyes and a sooty face. I mean, his face is dirty. It almost looked like blackface. And I was just like, what's going on here? So anyway, that character's name is Benjamin, and he's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who you might remember as Doctor Strange. Okay, he was the main character from Doctor Strange, the Marvel movie Doctor Strange. And anyway, I'm gonna talk about that in the end too. But he's the very first face you see once the film starts. Okay, and then you got two chariots racing. Now I thought that this was interesting. One of the chariots had white horses, and the other one had black horses. Was there some symbolism there? I don't know. Okay. It could be so. Now, for those of you who are into tarot, the chariot card is one white horse and one black horse. So that there could have been some of that in there too. I don't know. But let me say this. The filmmaker for this film is the same one from The Harder They Fall. I didn't know that until I went and watched some videos and looked at IMDb, because I wanted to look this guy James, and I said it wrong in the pre-review, y'all. I called him James Samuel, but it's James Samuel. I guess I was just looking at the way his name is spelled. It's not the traditional James. But anyway, James. So my apologies, James, if you've seen my original where I said James, no disrespect on your name. I just didn't know how it was properly pronounced. I do now. So anyway, by the way, I enjoyed the interview on The Breakfast Club, so I watched that too. Those of you who haven't seen it, watch the James Samuel interview with Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy on The Breakfast Club. So y'all can look that up on YouTube, whatever. Anyway, you know what? And maybe I'll put a link to that in the description box by the time this video is uploaded. So you got these two chariots racing. Now, Clarence, again, played by Lakeith Stanfield, who was also in the movie Get Out. He had a minor role in Get Out, and he had more of a major role in The Harder They Fall. In fact, it wasn't more of. He had a major role in The Harder They Fall. In fact, he was my favorite character in The Harder They Fall. So it was nice to see him back here playing the main character. And that was everything to me. That was everything. But anyway, he and his homie Elijah, who's played by R.J. Seiler, who was also in The Harder They Fall. So that was pretty brilliant too. I love how James did that. These guys are homies. You know what, y'all? And since I'm doing a whole review and I'm doing a deep dive, let me just, I'm not going to necessarily follow the letter. I'm going to follow the general flow of my notes, but I'm going to be stopping at certain parts. I'm going to try not to make the video too long. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm going to try not to make the video too long, but I think I'm just going to stop in certain parts and give you all of the things that you may not have noticed, okay? I had some things at the end, but I'm going to do it in line, okay, or real time, as they say. The fact that James casted R.J. Seiler and Lakeith Stanfield, who were partners in The Harder They Fall, to me is a depiction of the real life transits of the soul and soul groups, right? So those of you who are familiar with soul groups or soul clusters understand and understand that the people who we interact the most with in this lifetime are part of our soul group, and chances are very good that we have interacted with them in other lifetimes. So the fact that we see this, R.J. Seiler and Lakeith Stanfield traveling together now, they're playing completely different roles. They have different names. Pardon me, different roles. They have different names in a different film set in a different place at a different time. To me, is a microcosm of the journey of the soul. That in and of itself is brilliant. I didn't even put that in my notes. That just occurred to me. Okay. So anyway, Lakeith and RJ, or Clarence and Elijah, as they're named in the movie, they're the ones that are driving the chariot with the black horses, and they're racing, and they've placed a bet. We find this out later. They bet on their winning this race. Okay. And then you've got the person they're racing against is a female, Mary Magdalene, played by the beautiful Tiana Taylor, okay? She is driving the chariot with the white horses. So it is very interesting to me that you have this dynamic of masculine energy going against feminine energy in this race. And Mary Magdalene, she played by Tiana Taylor, is racing, and it's looking like the fellas are going to win this thing, right? But then she takes them through gypsy territory, and she's got people waiting for them, and they sabotage Elijah. I keep wanting to call them by their real names. They sabotage Clarence and Elijah and end up messing up their chariot. The chariot gets spoiled. It flips over. They lose the race. Mary Magdalene wins, and now they owe this big time gangster or criminal, if you will. He's part of the criminal element in Jerusalem, and he's played by a guy named his name is, let me find him in my notes because I'm not going in order here, but this guy, where is it, Matt? Where are your notes? Let's take a look. Jedediah the Terrible. He's the owner of the horses in the chariot being driven by Elijah and Clarence. Why am I saying Elijah first? Probably because Elijah has a little bit more biblical relevance than the name Clarence. Like, I got to make myself say Clarence. But Clarence is the main character, okay? No disrespect. Anyway, they F up this. Well, they didn't F it up. I mean, Mary took them through gypsy territory, and her people that she had waiting to make sure that she won the race. There's some more symbolism, huh? There's some more symbolism. Do we see that in real life sports, y'all, where they got people, officials, referees, where they have people making sure that certain individuals win certain sporting events? Y'all be the judge of that. Okay? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me get back to the story. They mess up this chariot, and now they owe Jedediah big time money, okay? I jumped ahead. I'm going to get back. Now, back on my notes, they race through gypsy territory, and come on, Matt. Mary Magdalene ends up winning the race, okay? Dirty Play wins the race. Was there some symbolism in there? Was there something, was there some suggestiveness, if you will, there? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'll leave that up to y'all to decide. I'm going to go and watch the movie again and make that determination for myself. But some would say that certain sporting events are rigged. Now, again, was there some symbolism there that talks about, or that is the microcosm of the rise of divine feminine energy? You could make that argument as well. You could certainly make that argument as well. Divine feminine energy wins. We know that divine feminine energy is cerebral, and divine masculine energy, or masculine feminine in general. Feminine energy is cerebral, it's spiritual, it's about wisdom, it's about thought. Masculine energy is about physical prowess. So in this particular contest, feminine energy wins over masculine energy. How did it happen? It was through cunning and cleverness. So Anyway, I just thought that was some symbolism there. Anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna have some final thoughts that maybe I don't know if I'm blowing the cap off or nothing here. I don't know. Listen, I'm just a reporter. I'm a sideline reporter. All right. I'm a critic. I'm a writer myself. So as a writer myself, I love digging in and trying to figure out what's being said here, because I hide messages in some of my works as well. OK, that's just what writers do. It's what we do, y'all. It's what we do. Artists do it, too. They'll put a little something in an image that they paint or draw that you don't see unless you got an eye to see it, or unless they want you to see it. Anyway, they put it in there. It's your job to figure it out. Now, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway, was there some symbolism there? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps the symbolism is the return of the divine feminine, because the feminine energy wins. Now, I also asked myself, were they suggesting that Mary Magdalene was crooked too? I mean, like, why was she? Now, those of you who know, Mary Magdalene was the Messiah's, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. That was his right hand. And by many accounts, that was his love interest. Now, some of y'all going to be like, oh, that's blasphemous. But we know that the scriptures are way, way, way too masculine and patriarchal. And they make women look like they were just there to be servants to men, when that is not the case at all. Because the scripture itself says in the beginning, he made them male and female, and we were created to work together. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. That I've heard, and I've actually read a number of things and heard a couple of different commentaries about the relationship between the Messiah and Mary Magdalene, and how powerful and timeless that relationship is. I didn't say was, and that was on purpose. I said is. Now, let me keep it moving. Y'all can play with that. Y'all can chime in the comments if you will. Mary Magdalene and the Messiah, they were a ticket, okay? And I think that is depicted here in this film. So I like that James included that. I like that he included that because, again, I think that we're in a season where things are being put back into their proper perspective, their proper order, their proper place. Now, let me keep moving. So the next scene, you see that, and this, y'all, this is what got me. The Israelites, a.k.a. the Yahudim, the inhabitants and the offspring, the tribe of Judah, or Yahuda or Yehuda, however you want to say it, whatever, they're melanated and they're occupying the ancient city of Jerusalem. They're melanated and they are the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Now, I got to tell y'all, that in and of itself moved me spiritually, because for the 2 hours it took to watch that film, or the 2 hour length of that film, and it didn't feel like 2 hours, that film was perfect in length. It did not feel like 2 hours. You can always tell when you're watching a good piece of something, because it doesn't, when you look at the amount of time you spent watching it, you're like, where did that time go? It didn't feel like it at all. But that moved me deeply because I felt like, y'all, let me just cut to the chase. I felt like I traveled back home watching that film. I can't, it's difficult to explain, but I know I'm not the only one. There were deep down inside, I was like, that is what home looked like and felt like before we were driven out and made the workforce of the entire planet. Let me just say that, okay? So it was nice to see James properly representing a biblical film for once, right? That whole, the 10 Commandments and Charlton Heston and Yul Brynner. No. So I said to myself as I was watching that, I said, it's about damn time, man, they got it right. It's about time they got it right. They got the setting right. Now, let me say this. I got friends from all walks, and I had a very candid conversation with one of my friends who claims Jewish heritage. We had very candid conversation about some of the thoughts that I had on watching certain films that I won't name here because I ain't trying to trigger no algorithm, but y'all know the initials of the filmmaker, R.D. Jr., okay? I'm going to leave it at that. Certain film that Kyrie Irving was in trouble about, okay? I had a conversation about that film some years ago when I first saw it. And I said to him, let's just look at some semantics here for a minute, all right? I said, I've seen a number of walking tours and archaeology videos set in the land of Israel. Okay. And one of the things you notice are palm trees everywhere, palm trees and palmetto trees. So I'm having this conversation with my Jewish friend, and I say, hey, and he's, we're going back and forth. It's not an argument. It's just really like, just knowledge share, whatever. And, I tell him, hey, man, I'm studying Hebrew, whatever. I want to learn how to read the scriptures in their original writing, blah, 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 whatever. We're talking. And so I say to him, I said, I got to ask you this question. When you look and you see these palm trees and palmetto trees in the current land of Israel today, the land of Israel today as we know it, what climatic zone are palm trees and palmetto trees indigenous to? He answers, the tropics. I said, okay, I agree with you. We both know that. That's a well-known fact. That is the biology of the earth. I won't even call that science. That's the biology of the earth, okay? Palm trees go with the tropics. So then my next question is, and I'm keeping it 100 because we're candid with each other. I said, are white people indigenous to the tropics? I said, palm trees are indigenous to the tropics. We agree. I said, are white people indigenous to the tropics? And he said to me, you got a point. You have a point. And then, we kind of said a few more things and kind of got off of it. He talked about the whole Roman invasion and, and all of this, that, and the third. And I'm like, listen, the Romans attacked from the north. They attacked from the north, pushing south. Okay. The whole retreating to the mountains of Eastern Europe story gets blown out of the water with the simple knowledge of how military operation works. If someone is attacking you from one direction, you don't go into the direction of where they're attacking you to retreat. You go in the opposite direction. Opposite of the mountains of Eastern Europe, opposite of Syria, opposite of Lebanon, the direction through which they were coming, attacking south toward Jerusalem. Opposite that direction is Egypt and Africa. So if you are escaping, I'm gonna leave it at that. So ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. We just talking facts here, and I'm sharing with you what was a real conversation. So I say all of that to bring it back home and say they finally got the setting and the characters correct in this film. Charlton Heston playing Moses, Yul Brynner playing Pharaoh, All right, let me leave that where it is. So let me keep going. I was deeply moved by seeing the inhabitants of Jerusalem look like they really did. Okay. All right. Next point. Jesus, y'all know the name. Some people say Yeshua, whatever. I'm gonna keep it the way they called it in the film. All right. Let me give respect to the film. Jesus is played by Nicholas Pinnock, and I remember Nicholas Pinnock. He's played in a number of different movies and television series and that sort of thing. I remember him from Counterpart. He had a pretty prominent role in Counterpart, where he's the boyfriend of one of the main characters, a woman who her counterpart from the other side. Y'all have to go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime Video. But it's a show about parallel worlds and her parallel self, this woman's parallel self in the other. She's married to the guy from We Are Farmers. Dun, 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 forget his name, but that actor. She's and I'll put it in a little bar thing at the bottom of the screen by the time this is uploaded. But anyway, title is the proper word. I'll put it in the title by the time this video is uploaded. But anyway, in this one world, let's call it the world on the left. In the world on the left, she's married to him. In the world on the right, she is estranged from him, and she's dating this brother who is Nicholas Pinnock. Okay, so that's where I remember him from. But anyway, again, they got it right. Jesus is depicted as a nappy-haired, melanated man. Okay. Okay, more biblical and historical accuracy. Thank you, James. Thank you. And I want to say that he was brilliant. He was brilliant. His acting was brilliant. I mean, okay, yeah, he had a regular role in Counterpart, but the way he played the character Jesus, yeah, it was all that. It was all that. 10 out of 10 for me. So, one of the things I wrote down that was said when they're coming. Now, they don't show his face until later in the film, but you see him surrounded by this group of disciples, and they're coming through, and Clarence and Elijah are looking at them. And one of the things that is said is, look at them. They shine like the stars. And then the other person says, not like the stars. They are the sun. Nothing or no one can touch them. Okay. And he's referring to these disciples that are surrounding the Messiah. And, it's funny that James wrote that in there because when you read the Gospel of Thomas, one of the things that is profound in the Gospel of Thomas that the Messiah is sharing with his inner circle, aka his disciples, which I don't think he would have called them disciples. I think that's something history did. You don't call your friends disciples. I don't care who you are. You could be the biggest and baddest basketball player on the team, in the city, the town, whatever. You're not calling your boys disciples. So whatever it is, these were his friends. But anyway, that's a story for another day. He's referring to if when you read the Gospel of Thomas, one of the things that is profound that is written there is when the question is asked to the Messiah, where do we come from? Like where should we tell people we're coming from? Like, you tell us we're not from this world. Where are we from? And he said, you come from the lights. What lights? The stars. So he was telling them they were star beings. So I thought that was interesting that what was written there is they shine like the stars. And then they say, no, they are not the stars. They are the sun. The sun, we know what happens to our skin when we are in the sun. It glows and reflects the yellow color of the sun. I don't care what complexion you are. You can be my complexion, which is about mid-grade, or all the way down to dark or whatever, even lighter complected. That sun, it turns your skin more brown, and it just reflects this glow. So it's like, and I remember hearing a brother by the name of Kalai Amin Ra. Y'all can check his channel out. I'll put a link in the description box. He said in one of his Instagram videos, he said that neuromelanin is condensed sunlight. So I thought that was very interesting that James included that line in the film where he said, no, they're not like the stars, they are the sun. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. And when he was saying nothing or no one can touch them, was he referring to the power? Like, were they like spiritually tapped in and maybe taught or trained by the Messiah how to tap into those inner gifts and unlock those powers? Was he referring to that? That I think is up for question or debate. And that's certainly something that those of you watching this review can debate amongst yourselves with your friends, your family, whatever, that's seen the film. Go watch this film, by the way, family. Go watch this film. Now, the next thing, Clarence is also depicted as the twin brother of the disciple, Thomas. So what's interesting here is that Clarence and Thomas are like, even though they're twin brothers, they're very opposite, and we see that a lot in twin relationships. We see that a lot. They look the same, but they kind of their behaviors are sometimes like yin and yang. They're a little bit different. And the thing with Clarence is, if you were to ask me who Clarence is like more real. I feel like I resonate more with the character. This is not about me, but I'm just saying, I feel like I resonated with his character a little bit more, because here you have Thomas, who is in the inner circle, and he's walking around with his book. So he's a scribe. He's writing down the stuff that's happening. He is so religious that he kind of doesn't want anything to do with his brother. And his brother, he loves his twin brother. Like, Clarence loves Thomas, but he's like, man, look, you judge me too much, so I don't really want to be around you. So here you got these two brothers where each of them judge each other for being different. And it's almost like Thomas looks down on Clarence, and Clarence is like, he's looking down on Thomas because, and there's a line that they continue to say throughout the film, and that is, you know what? Let me come back to that because I have it written down here. Yeah, let me keep going. Let me keep going through my bullet points. So anyway, there's a scene in there where Clarence tells his mother, whose name is Amina, and she's played by Marianne Jean-Baptiste. He tells her that one day he's going to get her out of, they live in the hood part of Jerusalem. So he says, one day I'm going to get you out of here and get you into a big home where you can do whatever you want. And I thought, I'm like, wow, that's a typical story within our communities. And for James to have written it that way, it shows you that sometimes things don't change. Like, a lot of these things are generational. Like, here he was back in ancient Jerusalem, and his mother in harsher accommodations, if you will. And he's telling her, look, one day I'm going to get you out of this place. There's rats there. They got mice, whatever. And he's like, I'm going to get you out of here and get you into a nice house. And you can do whatever you want. You ain't going to have to work hard, whatever. And I like to think there's a lot of us that have that sentiment towards our own mothers. I know I do. I know I do. That's anyway. I'm gonna leave that alone. But a lot of us have that same sentiment towards our own mothers. So I liked that he included that in the film. Now, moving right through my notes, Jedediah. Back to Jedediah the Terrible. He's the brother of. Now, Mary Magdalene is technically, she's not listed as one of the disciples, but that she's Jesus' shorty. Let me just say that. Y'all get mad if y'all want. I don't care. Put your comments in the comments. It's time for us to start looking at this stuff and seeing the truth of it. And when I first heard the story of Mary Magdalene and who she, let me stay in the middle, who she might have been, with regards to her relationship to the Messiah, I said to myself, now why would they mask that? Why wouldn't that be covered in Scripture? But when you're trying to control via doctrine, it's real easy to do that, right? I mean, that is advantageous to do that. I should say, not easy to, but advantageous to do that. But anyway, Jedediah the Terrible he's like the big time gangster in the town, and he runs like the criminal element in Jerusalem. And he's played by a brother named Eric Kofi Abrefa. Now, so he's the guy, and there's a scene in there where he's telling Clarence that he has 30 days to get his money or he's going to crucify him and then kill him. So he's like, now, again, more symbolism. Here are these brothers now taking on ways of the Romans. You don't see anything in any of the ancient texts about the Israelites crucifying anybody. But to me, it is very plausible when you talk about the Hellenization and then the romanticizing of the Israelites by those who occupied the land. First, the Greeks. That's where the Hellenistic ways came from, the Hellenistic characteristics, even dropping your own native Hebrew tongue for speaking Greek. And then after that war where they defeat the Greeks, in come the Romans, and now you're taking on ways of the Romans. So here's Jedediah the Terrible wanting to be like the Romans and threatening to crucify his brother, if you will, soul brother, tribal member, fellow tribesman. I'm going to crucify you if you don't give me my money. You got 30 days, all right? So anyway, I thought it interesting that here's Mary Magdalene running with the Messiah, but then she kind of crooked too because she's the reason why. And it makes you wonder now, was that a setup? I don't know, y'all. This is a brilliant film because it leaves a lot of things to discuss. And any writer that does that, to me, is going to get the stamp of brilliance from me. And I'm a writer myself. There's a lot of things in there that you can discuss with this film. I think this film may one day be discussed in universities or whatever. This is a brilliant piece of writing. James, brilliant work. Anyway, so it makes you wonder if Mary Magdalene wasn't necessarily, super religious, which we know that the men that the Messiah chose to be his friends, which, those were chosen pre-birth. Y'all know how I roll on this channel. They weren't random people that he went and they were predestined to be a part of his circle. So anyway, and they weren't necessarily pious people. And I say this all the time, y'all. They put the Messiah in this light of being a religious person, and I say it all the time. He was not religious. He was not religious. He was spiritual. There is a difference. Sometimes the lines can blur. Sometimes they can. But by and large, the religious establishment demonizes the spirituality, because spirituality is everywhere. So you can't even say spiritual circles. Spirituality is everywhere, and it's either high vibrational or low vibrational. All right. There's no gray area like there is with religion. This religion is the right one. No, this one's the right one. No. Spirituality is spirituality. We're all spirit. All right. And she's the reason why Clarence owes this money. So that's funny, man. That's funny. Anyway, so Jedediah the Terrible is played by Eric Kofi Abrefa. Brilliant acting by that brother. Brilliant. All right. John the Baptist. He's played by David Oyelowo. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Oyelowo. Anyway, Selma. Martin Luther King from Selma. All right. How's that? And there's a scene where he's baptizing people. And so Clarence figures, okay, maybe if I can become one of these disciples, then because they got a tight circle and nobody can bother them, I can escape the wrath of Jedediah, because there's no way I'm going to get back the money. There's no way I'm going to be able to collect the money to pay him for his lost horses and his lost chariot. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. So He decides he wants to become a disciple, so he goes down here to the Jordan River where John is baptizing people, and John starts slapping the rhymes with spit out of him. All right, he starts slapping the rhymes with spit out of Clarence, and I'm like, I thought it was funny, but I thought it was a little I thought it was a little wild. I'm like, why John the Baptist wilding out? And anyway, when you look at that dialogue that he's presenting. Now, here's the first problem I had with the film. Okay, but I love the film overall. Give it 2 thumbs up. It is a go. It is a must see. But here's one of the things I didn't like about it. I felt like, in part, it was pushing Christianity. Now, I could be wrong, but I felt like, in part, it was pushing Christianity because it was depicting, again, you have to listen to the script. You have to listen to the dialogue in that part. But it is depicting Christianity at a time that Christianity did not exist. So they're pushing a Christian. Here's John the Baptist pushing a Christian agenda to Clarence when Christianity didn't even exist. The Messiah was just getting into the height of his miracles at the time that John was baptizing people in the water. So I felt like there was a little bit of promotion, like pushing this Christian narrative, but maybe not. I don't know. I just felt like that was a little bit out of period because Christianity didn't exist, but the dialogue was very Christian in nature, okay? And the Messiah wasn't demanding anybody to bow down and worship him, all right? He was teaching spiritual concepts. He was teaching, when you've seen the Father, you've seen me, all right? He was talking about a vibrational frequency, all right? We know that the Most High, the universal I am presence, is a vibrational frequency. It's pure energy that vibrates at the highest frequency, okay? So Christianity didn't exist. The Messiah wasn't commanding anybody to bow down and worship him. He said, let him who would be the greatest among you be the least among you. Let him be your servant. So he was teaching them humility. He wasn't teaching Christianity and, John slapping him because he's saying something that is blasphemous about the Christ. I mean, come on. That didn't fit, but it didn't take away anything from the film for me. I just wanted to note that because I told y'all there was a couple things I didn't like. That was probably one of them. Okay, so now, the other thing I didn't like, but it's so real and it goes through to today, family. You got these Roman centurions who are harassing the hell out of these Negroes in their own land. Yep, the Roman centurions, these Europeans coming with their weapons and their agendas, rolling up on people talking about, I heard that there was somebody breaking around in here stealing, and you fit the description. So let me see your ID. Asking them for papers. And I got to tell you that got under my skin seeing that because I'm like, man, that hasn't changed in nearly 2,000 years. Anyway, now that if you know what happened, some 30 years, some roughly 30, 32 years or so, roughly 3 decades after the Messiah left the scene, after the ascension, all right, after he disappeared from the planet, you know that 3 decades later, and you're going to see it in the film, these Negroes got sick of the Romans in their own house telling them what to do and harassing them. And that was the beginning of the Wars of the Jews, written by Flavius Josephus, which is real history. So y'all check that out. But when you're looking at the harassment, the level of harassment, it really made you understand how that continued to brew and boil and boil and boil until it hit a certain point and they had to go and say, hey, you know what? Enough's enough and too much ain't good for nothing. All right. Yeah. So it continued to boil and boil and boil until it hit fever pitch and it turned into a bilateral war. Bilateral because it was a civil war where our predecessors were fighting each other and they were fighting against the Romans as well. So anyway, you ask me, I think they had cause to fight against the Romans because when you in your house and somebody who ain't from your house is in your house telling you what to do, you're going to get tired of it after a while. It's slapping you around and harassing you and threatening you to throw you in jail and crucify you and all that. Anyway, that was the other thing that got under my skin. I told you it wasn't a lot, y'all. So anyway, to keep it moving, and the guys who played the Roman officers, they were brilliant too because they really made you hate them. So listen, this film was done so well. So let me keep it moving. Now, I didn't understand why there were people floating. I guess he was trying to depict that We know that they got high back then because I've seen archaeological videos where they found remnants of weed, aka reefer, or whatever you want to call it. They found that these prophets even back then smoked weed, and you know that they used to get into psychedelics when you know what you're looking at when you're reading scripture, including some of the texts that were taken out of the 66 books. They were heavy into psychedelics, and yes, they used God's medicine. Okay, I put this on my Instagram. I said, why is mankind's drugs called medicine and God's medicine or nature's medicine called drugs? But that's a story for another day. So anyway, they go to this little place and they're hitting this pipe, and then people are like floating around. And I just thought that was a little bit weird, but maybe they were just trying to depict them, being physically high. I'm like, are they suggesting that people actually did float, or is he just artistically showing you that these people are high? And were there other ways to show that someone's high without literally them floating in the air? So I didn't know. But anyway, so Judas, who's played by Michael Ward, is depicted as being bald. Like everybody else has hair, but he's bald, and his face is darn near clean. He's got a little light goatee. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very peculiar, and I'm not sure why he was depicted as having bald hair when everybody else had like fros or mini fros. So anyway, yeah. All the other disciples have afros, but this one oddball has a bald head. No pun intended on oddball, bald head. Anyway, so anyway, I thought that was a little bit peculiar. If y'all got any thoughts on that, drop it in the comments. Next, you had this depiction of Israelites owning slaves, okay, albeit they were gladiators. I kind of had a problem with that too, but I guess it is what it is. Again, taking on the ways of the colonizers, okay, these Roman colonizers and the Greek colonizers before them. They have these slaves, and they're like, okay, you're going to fight in these gladiator pits to the death, and I'm going to invite people to these and make money off of it. You know what I mean? So little known fact about me, that's one of the reasons why I kind of got out of boxing when I was training to kind of go to Golden Gloves route back in my 20s. My wife was steady in my ear talking about, they used to make the slaves fight each other, and, they used to make the gladiators fight each other to death. Why would you want to go in there and punch somebody that didn't do anything to you? So, what I mean? That, among other things, finally kind of I was like, what? Maybe this ain't the path I'm supposed to walk. And I told y'all this story in other videos. I got to a point career-wise where I could not go to the gym and train and work my job too. So it didn't work out. The gym wasn't open during the hours that I was trying to train, or during the hours when I was available after they changed my schedule to having 12-hour shifts at work and then me going to school at night. I'm like, I got to give this up. But it certainly, the wifey in the ear talking to me like that made it easier. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they had these Israelites who, or men of Judah who owned slaves, and basically were like, these are my slaves and blah, blah, blah. There's a scene in there where, and I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but there's a scene in there that Clarence does something to help free these slaves in their own land. So I thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, here is something that I thought was very profound. Throughout the movie, Clarence continues to say these words: knowledge is stronger than belief. Okay? Knowledge is stronger than belief. He says this as a counter to his brother Thomas, who believes in God. So Clarence is saying in this part throughout the film, he's like, I don't believe in God. I know this, I know this, I know this. And I felt like that early on in the movie. I'll get to how my mind was changed by the end. But early on in the movie, I felt like that was kind of like a trap, because I personally agree with that statement that knowledge is more powerful than belief. But in the way that it was being presented, it was early on being presented as like God doesn't exist, right? That's how it was being presented. But at the same time, I know that knowledge is more powerful than belief. It's even written. It says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Why? Because you reject knowledge. So I thought that was very profound, that was written into the movie. And it's spoken in there a lot throughout the film. Knowledge is stronger than belief. Again, Clarence tells Thomas that he believes in what he does not know. So Clarence is talking to his brother Thomas, who's one of the disciples, and he says, man, you believe in something that you don't know. And he goes, I know this, I know that, I know that. So I felt like maybe there was a little bit of trying to plant a seed of separation from the universal I am presence. but my opinion changed toward the end of the film. I'll get to that. Now, I thought that it was pretty cool that you had this 8-year-old Jesus played by Johann Samuel and this clay pigeon story. So Clarence goes to Mary, mother of Jesus, and basically he's trying to find out from her, because he doesn't believe any of these miracles that he's hearing about the Messiah. So he's trying to find out from his parents, Mary and Joseph, how he does these tricks. And she's telling him they're not tricks. He's really, truly gifted. And she starts telling him the story of when he was 8 years old. He has these clay pigeons, and somebody comes and says, hey, you're bad because you're making clay pigeons on the Sabbath. You're supposed to be resting. You're not supposed to be doing any work. So this 8-year-old Jesus says, okay, fine, then I'll stop making these clay pigeons. And he claps his hand or something, and these clay pigeons turn into real live pigeons and fly away. I thought that was very interesting. Not sure where the story came from, but by the way, Virgin Mary is played by Alfre Woodard. So I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting little scene because it made me wonder, where did they get this clay pigeon story from? Is there something out there that's, is there folklore? Is there an actual account or something like that out there? Or was this just something that was an imagination of the writer? So anyway, keeping on, someone, and I didn't put in my notes who said it, but someone said belief will be the undoing of all mankind. I thought that was profound because if you look at the age that we're in, now I don't believe that, but I don't believe that belief will be the undoing of all mankind. Anyway, trying to get through this, y'all. That statement to me kind of goes with, and again, I don't believe that, but if you understand that the age of Pisces is, and this time that occurred with the Messiah was during the age of Pisces, where it's about the age of believing. And Pisces, if you know about Pisces, the ruling planet for Pisces is Neptune. It's the planet of dreams and also the planet of illusions. And this is why religion dominated for so much, with being able to, or was so successful at hiding the true spiritual nature of all things, because we were in an age that was ruled by Pisces, and Pisces is, in its low vibrational state, the planet of illusion, showing you something that's not really real. Now, high vibrationally, it's about dreams and hopes and that sort of thing. But low vibrationally speaking, it's about trickery and illusions. And so to say that belief will be the undoing of all mankind, it won't, because we've left the age of believing, Pisces, and the age of knowing, Aquarius. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. Now, Clarence, again, in order to try to save himself from Jedediah the Terrible, he knows he's running out of time. Mary doesn't give him what he's looking for, so he devises this plan to start performing these fake miracles and becoming a second Messiah. And he gets his boys, because he had disciples too, right? Anyway, he gets his boys. Where did that pop-up bubble come from? That's pretty interesting. I've never seen that before. Anyway, he gets his boys to start doing these fake miracles. And it was like mind-blowing, y'all. It's mind-blowing that they're doing these fake miracles. And it's like, they're doing this. He's trying to do the same thing, but he's collecting money now, and people are paying him money to do these miracles. And when someone comes up and says, "Hey, I'm next. Since you healed this guy, I've been on this crutch for X number of years. Can you heal my legs or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, no. We only do one miracle a day. The Messiah has to go and rest now, and we recharge his energy." So anyway, he's collecting a ton of money from the locals, and sooner or later, he has more than enough money to pay Jedediah. But anyway, I got a note here to talk about the rub between Clarence and Thomas. The rub between Clarence and Thomas, I kind of talked about it, but I didn't get into this. What I found interesting and profound is that Thomas is a disciple, and yet he turns his back on his mother who is in need, and Clarence is looking at him like, "Man, you trying to act like you all this, but what kind of God would have you turn your back on your mother who's in need?" And now I'm not running around behind this man. I'm trying to help mom. You over here, like she don't even exist. Like the very woman who gave birth to you and raised you, you are abandoning her and denying her and turning your back on her when she's in need for these people that you don't know, and yet your mother's suffering. So don't judge me. Basically, Thomas judges. He's constantly judging Clarence and telling him he's never going to be anything. He's never going to amount to anything. You were born to be nothing, but Clarence is looking at him like, "Okay, but I'm at least trying to help mom. What are you doing?" So anyway, I thought that was an interesting dichotomy between these brothers. Now, Clarence has a powerful love story with a character named Varinia, who is played by the beautiful Anna Diop. Okay. And you might know Anna Diop. She was in the film Us, and she was also in 24 Legacy. She was the wife of the main character from 24 Legacy, which was the reboot of the series 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, who played Jack Bauer or whatever. So she was the wife of the new main character from 24, and she was beautiful then, and she is fine in the movie too. So big up to James for casting some eye candy. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. He casted some eye candy, y'all. Anyway, but he's got this powerful love story with her, and she wants him to be somebody too. But it's like, wait a minute, y'all. Did I say that right? No, Anna Diop is the sister of Jedediah the Terrible. So I said that wrong. Y'all forgive me. Mary Magdalene is not the sibling of Jedediah the Terrible. It is Anna Diop. Okay, Anna Diop, who plays Varinia. So Varinia is his sister. Y'all please excuse my excitement. Okay, charge it to my head, not my heart. Okay, that was a honest mistake. So anyway, she plays, he wants her to be his girlfriend, but she's like, look, you got to show me something, because right now everybody looking at you like you ain't nothing. And she has feelings for him too, but he's like off limits because he ain't what everybody thinks he should be. And on top of that, her brother has beef with him. And she comes from money. She and Jedediah come from money. Clarence doesn't come from money. He comes from nothing. So that is one of these classic love stories that you see repeated throughout time, y'all, where one individual is two individuals are in love with each other, but they come from different sides of the tracks, so to speak. And so their love is like kind of frowned upon. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was a beautiful addition there. So that was well written in there as well. So now there's a one scene in here where Mary is being stoned. Okay, not Mary Magdalene. There's a character named Mary. She's being stoned. Like, Clarence and Elijah are coming from around the corner, and Elijah's by himself. I'm sorry, Elijah's by himself. Clarence isn't with him. Elijah's coming around the corner, and he sees this woman scream. He hears these screams, so he's trying to go see where these screams are coming from. And here's this woman with her ankle chained to a wall, and she can't get away. And these people are standing there like she's got blood on her face. And he saw a vision of it right before. I thought that was interesting too, because he saw a vision of this right before he saw her. So this movie touched on some spiritual things too. There's some clairvoyance there. So was he clairvoyant because he was high earlier? Or did he have the gift of clairvoyance? I don't know. Either way, he saw. So he goes around there and he's like, what are y'all doing? And they said, this woman is a whore. She slept with one of the Roman soldiers. And she's like, no, I didn't. Y'all are lying on me. So you lying whore, whatever. So he covers her with his body because he's like, y'all got to stop doing it. He's trying to get her off. He can't free her from the thing. So he's supposed to be a nobody because he's hanging with another nobody. Elijah's the homie of Clarence. And he covers her with his body, and they're throwing rocks. So he's willing to sacrifice his own life to save hers. And I thought that, again, showed sacrifice from someone who was not religious. Someone who was not religious. And here's a woman being stoned by the religious folk, okay? And then the Messiah comes, and he waves his hand and stops the rocks. And not another rock hits them. And then it comes that he's without sin. Let them cast the first stone. I thought that was beautiful. So wanted to throw that in there. Again, talking about the review, to me, spirituality, showing the real love being spiritual, high vibrational love versus this so-called the religious pious group who are trying to control and be the arbiters of what is right and wrong, which y'all hear me talk about that all the time. Jeremiah 31 and 33 through 34. I won't get into that right now. Okay. Next, Nights Over Egypt, that's one of the songs in the movie. And there's this choreography that's taking place inside of Jedediah's little nightclub or whatever it was. Yo, that song and that choreography was fire, y'all. That was fire. I wanted to give the thumbs up to that. The accuracy of the hall at Pontius Pilate's house. I saw a archaeology. I told y'all I'm always watching Israel archaeology videos. I've seen a depiction, not depiction, but they went through, hey, this is where Pontius Pilate would have lived. and it looked just like what I saw in that archaeology film, only it was like, fixed up. It wasn't ruins. And I thought that was very, very clever. Not even clever. I just thought it was cool that they did that so accurately, because they said, hey, this is where Pontius would have tried Jesus. It would have been like right here inside his house in this big room or whatever. So listen, it's so funny, man. Here you are in this city that is a melanated country, the capital city of a melanated country, and here the Romans in there, they living better than some of the locals. Now we know that was Herod. Herod wanted to, he wanted to make he built these alliances with the Romans, so he wanted to make sure that the Romans had the best of everything, and it was just, anyway, y'all, we see the same stuff today. You can go to any African country and see the same stuff, but anyway, that's a story for another day. So Clarence, there's a scene where Clarence is walking on water. Okay, I thought that was very interesting, because at this point, he's trying not to be, he's telling them he's not this Messiah, he's just a crook. He's like, I'm not a Messiah. They're looking for these Messiahs and they want to crucify them. And he's like, I'm not a Messiah. And they like, he says, yes, you are. And he's like, no, I'm not. I can't walk on water. So they try to make him walk on water. He says, I can't swim. They're like, okay, well then maybe you better walk across this water, because if you walk across this water, we're going to know you're a Messiah and we're going to crucify you. He steps out on the water. He's like, I'm done, y'all. He's looking at everybody like, all right, this is a wrap for me. If they going to crucify me anyway. If I step in this water, I'm going to drown. He steps on the water. He looks up. There's something you see that happens with the sunlight, and he takes a step and the water is solid under his feet. And he walks all the way across there. And I thought that was interesting, just to show that they say he may not come when you want him to, but he's always right on time. So God showed up to save his life. But he ends up being labeled a Messiah, so he's going to get crucified anyway. Was it a waste? We find out in just a minute. So let's see. Next, what else, y'all? What else? I know this ain't I know the people who do movie reviews, they don't do all the spoiler stuff. So this maybe ain't no review in the official sense, but I still think you should go and see this film, okay? Because I'm really kind of telling the movie, but I'm just pointing out the spotlighting the things that I thought were very cool and noteworthy. So anyway, in the end, Clarence ends up realizing that God actually is real, because he's like, there's no way that water was supposed to be still under my feet. So there must be a God. But anyway, let me not jump ahead. I'll say that for the end. There's another scene in here, because now I'm going to get into a little bit of scripture. Y'all know what I do over here. The Messiah is walking through, and he hooks up this European beggar, the same beggar from the beginning of the movie, who's played by Dr. Strange, okay? Dr. Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch. His name is Benjamin in the movie, by the way. His name is Benjamin. So anyway, the Messiah hooks him up. He says, you know what? I'm going to heal this guy. I'm going to clean him up. I'm going to heal his sores. And he touches his hand so that anytime he waves his hand, money comes out. So he's like, wow, man, I got money coming out of me now. So the Messiah hooks him up, and now he can go and get, cleaned up. But I wrote a note here that says, now this European beggar being in the midst of a brown-skinned Jerusalem immediately made me wonder if this was perhaps an accidental inclusion of a foreshadowing of the fulfillment of the prophecy of the coming age. What do you mean, Matt? Zephaniah 3:12. Zephaniah 3:12, okay? But I also put in here that there was another thing in here. The Messiah hooking this beggar up, this Gentile, if you will, because in the movie we know who the Hebrews are. So this Gentile, if you will, gets hooked up by the Messiah. And to me, that echoes of Isaiah 49:6. Now, Isaiah 49:6, let's read that really quick. Isaiah 49:6 says, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. So, in to me, him hooking this Gentile up had slight echoes. Maybe it was a slight allusion to Isaiah 49:6. I don't know if that was done intentionally or if that was the handwriting on the wall. If that was not a product of divine intervention in that script. I thought that was brilliant. Like, I don't even know if James knew he was doing that or even knew the linkage between those scriptures. I don't know. But the other one that I mentioned was Zephaniah 3 and 12. Let's go there. Zephaniah 3 and 12 says, I will also, now this is the end times prophecy, I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. So in the midst of the people is this afflicted and poor Gentile, all right? In the midst of the Israelites, in the midst of the Yahudim, in the midst of these Hebrews in their home city, or in their home capital city, was an afflicted and poor person. And that person, it says, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. He ended up trusting in the Messiah at the end because he saw him for himself and he hooked him up and he went and got cleaned up and this, that, and the third. But anyway, I thought that was cool, y'all. Little scriptural allusion that may have been intentional or may have been serendipitous. Who knows? All right. So coming up on an hour here, y'all. Let me wrap this up. So let's see. So this now here's what was hilarious. This white guy, this European, this beggar who gets cleaned up, he goes in, he gets his hair cut, face shaved, gets all his soot washed off him, he got new clothes. He ends up looking like the Cesare Borgia Jesus that is the depiction of Jesus that is promoted or pushed by the Catholic Church all around the world and has been for centuries. They got him looking like the dude in the painting. Okay. I thought that was interesting, y'all. I don't know if that was supposed to be comedic, but I thought it was funny. And there's even a guy painting it when he's out there and somebody's painting that. And I'm like, I know they're not suggesting that that's where it came from, because that was, people who know history know that was a depiction of Cesare Borgia, who was the son of Pope Alexander. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So I'll tell you what. Now, there was something. Now, when Clarence is getting toward the end, when Clarence is carrying his cross up the hill, he's convicted of being a Messiah, even though they know he's not. What happens is Pontius Pilate comes to him while he's in prison and it says, "Hey, look, if you give us the location of this real Jesus character, just tell us where he is, I'll set you free." So Clarence, still trying to be slick, he says, "Well, his name really ain't Jesus. It's Judas Iscariot." So he's trying to throw Judas under the bus, but they're like, nah, because we got Judas on payroll. So I know you're lying. I'm gonna give you one more chance to tell us where he is, and we'll set you free. He's like, "Man, I'm not telling you where that dude is. I don't roll like that." So it went to show you that they say there's no honor among thieves. There actually is. There is honor. And Clarence, Clarence is that dude. I left a whole lot of stuff out of there because I could have talked about Barabbas. I didn't talk about Barabbas. So I'm not giving y'all the whole movie because there's a cool dynamic between Clarence and Barabbas. Y'all got to check that out. Excellent fight scene. Y'all got to check that out. But anyway, he ends up getting crucified or put through the crucifixion process because he refuses to give up the real Messiah. I thought that was very well done. As he's going up there, somebody yells, "They always take our babies." And that's Clarence's mom. She's saying that as he's carrying his cross up the Via Dolorosa. And in like fashion to the way that Peter would have been with the Messiah, Elijah is about to pull his knife out and snuff out one of these soldiers. But Clarence looks at him while he's carrying his cross. He's like, "Nah, don't do it. Don't do it." So he ends up getting crucified, and beautiful, beautiful scene, sad but beautiful. It was gut wrenching because, again, you know, if you bot your people, man, it's moving you because you like, man, this is what they did to us then, and this is what they still do to us. And yet they tell us we ain't got no place in these scriptures, or they've erased us from the scriptures. But this is our story. How do we know? Because this is still being done to us. And the people who claim to be the people from that era, ain't none of this stuff happening to them. So how is this them? Where is has the prophecy been fulfilled and we missed it? Anyway, so it moves you to see, you know, these people that are from Italy up in Judah dominating them. You know, it's just rough. But you know, that's a part of, y'all know how karma works. The Most High lets you think you winning so that you can keep building up so much karma that it will take you 1,000 lifetimes to pay that karmic debt back. All right. Anyway, all right. Let me come back, y'all. So anyway, after Clarence is after he gives up the ghost, he's put into this tomb with a stone covering it, and lo and behold, the Messiah comes and destroys the stone in front of it. He goes in there and resurrects Clarence, and he says to him, "You freed the slaves at your own peril. The one who believes in me will live even though they died." And then that was pretty much it. So to get back to the whole knowledge is stronger than belief, in the end, Clarence still doesn't believe in God. He knows God. And y'all hear me tell y'all this all the time about faith. I say this on this channel all the time. This whole faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I don't like that description. That is why y'all always hear me say faith is an inner knowing, sight unseen. I don't need to see it. I don't need to hear it. I know it. Why? Now, why did he say walk by faith and not by sight? Because what you see and what you hear can deceive you and shake the very foundation of what you thought you know or knew. But when you know, I don't care what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is an illusion because I know otherwise. And I say that about my own story. When they say, if you don't do something about this tumor, you're not going to be here. And I'm like, I'm going to do something about it, and I am going to be here, and I'm going to do it on my terms, the way I want to do it, or the way that God wants it done, not the way you're telling me to do it. Because the way you're telling me to do it has landed everybody I know that followed that route 6 feet under. They're in the grave. So you're not going to get me with that. I know my outcome. I've written the ending, and now I'm walking toward it. Any good author writes the end and then builds the story based on how it ends. Manifestation pro tip. See what it is that you desire to manifest and know it's there and then walk toward it. Manifestation pro tip.
Okay,
all right,
family. So I am in the process of editing right now, and I realized that I left out a very important or significant point that I wanted to make in the original recording that was missed. And so I want to add this right now. One of the things that I felt stood out in this film toward the end, and I know I mentioned that I might reference the Wars of the Jews toward the end, the book by Flavius Josephus, and perhaps some of the seeds that perhaps led to the conflict. I did mention it. You'll see that later in the video, or you'll see it toward the end or whatever, or maybe you saw it already, just depending on where I pop this in. But the point I wanted to make that made me feel really good is that when you started getting toward the end of the film, when the Romans were looking for anybody that was a self-proclaimed Messiah or anyone that was reported to be a Messiah, because, they had spies back then too, sellouts. One of the things that when they found Clarence and wanted to put hands on him, Jedediah stepped in. He stood up in the gap, and he was like, look, bro, don't worry about none of that money that you owed me or whatever. I got you. It ain't about to go down like this. We'll deal with these Romans right now. Like, ain't nobody scared of them. Let's get them up out of here. And the captain of the guard grabs his sister Verinia and puts the blade to her throat. And he's like, look, if you don't want your sister anymore, keep coming. Keep on with it. Keep on. And so he looks, and then he looks at Clarence, and Clarence is like, yo, it ain't worth your sister's life, man. Let him take me. Let him take me. So I thought that was beautiful because, again, here's Clarence sacrificing his own life. He basically risked his own life by throwing away the money that he owed to Jedediah in order to free all of these slaves that were gladiators. He freed all of them. And then he takes the opportunity to say, listen, let them take me. I don't want nothing to happen to your sister Verinia. Somehow this is going to work out. Don't worry about it. And then his boy Elijah, he's like, man, he gets out of everything. Don't worry about him. He'll find a way out of this. And so then so that's the second time he basically throws himself to the wolves to save someone else. And then the final act, of course, was when he chose not to give up the Messiah. And it just brought back to my mind the passage of scripture that says, He who seeks to save his life will lose it, but he who loses his life for my sake will find it again. Now, again, I think Christianity has hijacked the spiritual nature of that saying. I think that that saying has to do, again, with the high vibrational frequency of what is called the Christ consciousness, or that highest state of love, of joy, of enlightenment, of the God frequency. He who loses his life for my sake, that sake, for righteousness' sake, will find it again. And at the end, even though he gave up his life was granted back to him. So did he even really die, or did he go to sleep? I thought that was very profound. Just the example of what real love looked like. You know, here this man was who was called a nothing, and yet he became a greater example of the Christ consciousness than even his brother Peter, who was rolling with the Messiah. Just thought I'd add that in there, folks. That I realized I left that out, but that was very powerful and profound. So I wanted to make sure that point was not lost in my narrative and my review of this film. So anyway, thank you again for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys know I love you to the moon and back. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You have to show it. All right. I always say that. Love is a verb. It is a noun as well. But when we focus on the verb, the noun always takes care of itself. All right. And that is exactly what Clarence did. Clarence showed love. He exercised it. He gave us the verb form of the word love. All right. All right. Peter was talking about it. Clarence was being about it. And I'm talking about the characters for those of you ultra religious folks that were like, you ain't gonna talk about Peter like that. Peter was Jesus' favorite. Come on, y'all. Give me a break. Anyway, I love you
Happy
guys.
sunrise, family. You know, it's so funny. I thought I was done with this project on yesterday. Today is day 2 of recording. I thought I was done with this project on yesterday. And here I am on Wednesday, January 24th at 7:36 a.m. So happy sunrise to you. This is just a little piece I had to splice in. You know how they say, or the saying goes, God moves in mysterious ways, or you've heard it, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Let me tell you, by the time you're watching this video, I have already deleted the original one and spliced this segment in and recompiled it and re-uploaded it. But let me tell you what happened. So my plan was to premiere this video a day before. And I ended up being in the office so late. I had errands I had to run. My brother popped in from out of town. He never, our entire lives, he's always popped up on me and never told me he was coming. So he came in while I was recording in the studio. So I had to, he left when he realized I was recording, but he said he would come back. So he came back, and that took away editing time. And make a long story short, here I am. What happened was I wanted to premiere this video on Tuesday evening. And when I realized how late the hour was, I said, you know what, I might as well just wait until Wednesday. But it ended up working out for the best, because there was a segment, a very powerful segment of the Book of Clarence that I did not touch. And it was, speaking of the Lord working in mysterious ways, or the Lord moving in mysterious ways, I'm lying in the bed this morning. I don't know what time it is, because I just wake up sometimes when it's still dark outside and just lie there and meditate, or just let thoughts flow to me. Well, that kind of is meditation. Anyway, and this song that I sang with the civic ensemble I used to sing with, the song we sang, the civic ensemble I used to sing with years ago, shout out to the Charlotte Contemporary Ensemble. It was, the title of that song was Guilty. And that song just started playing in my head. And that was the song that made me realize that I had left out this very powerful segment of the Book of Clarence where they're dealing with the Last Supper. So anyway, that song went a little something like this. I'll sing a few bars of it for you guys, or maybe I'll play it. I got my phone right here. I also got it in my iTunes library. So we'll just see how this goes. This is just raw, y'all. This is raw. I may not even cut this. I may just upload it directly, splice it in without, unedited, whatever. We'll see what happens. But it went a little something like this. It goes, Lord, was it I who betrayed you,
who denied you, who did not recognize you. I wonder if I was am as guilty as they. For they had walked with you day by day. But guilt knows no time, and sin knows no shame. 2,000 years later, I'm still to blame. Now, I did no justice to that song. The sister that sang lead on that song from our group, Janice Williams. Let me give y'all a little taste. And I don't know. Again, I may use the one from the iTunes library, but I just want to. I don't know. I'm just letting it go this morning, y'all. I'm letting it flow. Maybe this is for somebody. I promise you, I'm going to tell you about that segment and get off of here, but because this video is long enough. But anyway, here we go. Let me find this. Let me find this song. Here we go. This is called "Guilty." I'm not sure who the original composer is, but this was choral sheet music. So we did this rendition of it at the Charlotte Contemporary Ensemble at one of our live performances. So it goes a little something like this. This is Janice Williams' sister can sing. Beautiful voice, beautiful voice. We had a lot of great vocalists in that group. I kind of miss singing with them. I don't miss driving in that traffic after work to go to rehearsal though. So, but last time I talked with one of the sisters from the group was back in November, and she said the group was getting ready to disband for good. So anyway, here we go. Sing, Janice. All right. Anyway, and as an aside, that was a beautiful piece of music, very beautiful. But it's ironic to go back and listen to that song years after having my spiritual awakening and understanding how energy works and understanding the vibrational frequencies of different emotions. And to hear a song titled "Guilty," it just kind of speaks to what I've been talking about on this channel for a long time with regards to the religion pushing. Anyway, I won't. That's a beautiful piece. Y'all know what I always say. Listen, we are all going to traverse the scale of the range of emotions in this lifetime. The key is to, when you are in any type of low vibrational energy, to figure out what it was that put you in that low vibrational energy, and then have the courage to climb out of it. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being low vibrational sometimes, because it's going to happen. It's energy, but you can't stay in low vibrational energy. So I don't know who that was for. But anyway, on to the segment, and I'll end this little piece. So the piece I left out. There is this powerful scene of the Last Supper where the Messiah is sitting there, and y'all know how the story goes. He says, somebody sitting at this table is going to betray me. I'm giving you the paraphrase. I'm not going to bring the scripture up this morning. One of you sitting at this table is going to betray me. And y'all heard the song, Lord, was it I? I mean, all of the disciples like, who's doing it? Who gonna do it? Who gonna do it? And he says, the one who dips his hand in the bowl with me, or however it went. Now, what James did with that piece was he said, whoever dips his bread in this gravy that Mary made and eats it, that's who's gonna betray me. So I never quite understood, y'all, for all of the years I've been going to church and hearing that story over and over. I never quite understood how or why somebody who is pointed out as the person who's going to betray the top dog, the top shotter, the person who's going to betray him, how he gets to stay with them. Like, why didn't they pounce on him right then? It's like, man, you sell out and, snuff him out or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe. Maybe I watched a few too many gangster movies. But anyway, I never quite understood. I mean, did Judas, did he separate himself? I don't remember the story, to be honest. Somebody can leave it in the comments. But did Judas run out of there when he was the one that put his hand in the bowl? And why would you put your hand in the bowl if the one who knows all sitting at that table, y'all know y'all can't get nothing by him. Why would you put your hand in the bowl if he said the one who puts his hand in the bowl is going to betray me? Like, if I'm the guilty one, I'm not even going to put my hand in the bowl. So I never quite understood that story, but I love what the writer James Samuel did with it, y'all. He took that, and it's almost like through supernatural force of will, the Messiah made Judas put his hand in it. So that was how he handled that. That was how he dealt with it. He said, this is how I imagined that Judas ends up putting his hand in the bowl when the master, when the spiritual master says the one who puts his hand in the bowl with me is going to betray me. Why did he do it? And so James, I thought that was very clever how he handled it. Now, I don't know if that's how it went down, but that makes a whole lot more sense than somebody getting called out. You at the table with your 12 homies, and you like, man, one of y'all sitting at this table is going to sell me out to the Romans. And everybody like, who? Man, who? Peter, yo, tell me who it is right now. I got him. I keep this blade with me. I'll cut him right now. He says the one who puts his hand in the bowl. And then Judas puts his hand in the bowl. Never understood that story. So anyway, I know I took y'all all the way around the block to get y'all to the house next door, but y'all know that's what I do. And at least 75% of y'all love me for it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this segment, y'all. I just wanted to add that in there because that was a very profound piece of the movie that I left out of the original recording. So how do you end up putting your hand in the bowl when someone says the person who puts his hand in the bowl is going to betray me? James made it appear that the Messiah, via some supernatural force, made Judas do something he didn't even want to do. Because Judas sitting there heard him say, whoever puts his hand in the bowl. So James is a very clever writer, y'all. I can't wait to see what his next project is going to look like. I cannot wait to see what his next project is going to look like. And for those of y'all who don't know, I had no idea that he's the brother of the Grammy award-winning singer Seal. I was trying to look up some info on little Johann Samuel, and then it occurred to me that he had the same last name. I was like, is that not odd? So I looked into it a little bit on the web, found out Heidi Klum's his mom, Seal's his dad. So for those of y'all who don't know Seal, I'm like, baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose. That's Seal. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger. Now that your rose is... That's Seal. So, and that even gave me another reason to love how this whole project came together. I'm talking like I was on it, right? Anyway, let me get off of here. Anyway, I love it. I love seeing y'all when people keep stuff in the family, and they bringing him up. They bringing him up in the game now, y'all. I love that. Daddy's a Grammy award-winning recording artist. Unc is a big-time filmmaker, and he's got a great voice himself, y'all. He sings on a couple of the tracks, but the most powerful one that got me was the song that closed out the movie, the one that was playing when they ran the credits, and that was called Nazarene. And I had never heard James Samuel sing before, but to hear that voice and then to now know that he's related to Seal, you can hear some similar elements, a similar timbre, a similar richness in the voice. I mean, it definitely, you can kind of tell they're brothers just by listening to his singing voice. and they both are great singers. So anyway, let me end this too long segment and take y'all back to the video.
A James Samuel film. James, this was, man, bro. This was not what I thought it was going to be. I went in there looking to rip it apart because the way the trailers would have you see it, it makes you think that it's another, buck dancing type of film, and it wasn't that at all. And had I made the connection between James Samuel and The Harder They Fall, I would have never even questioned whether or not I should see this film. James is the real deal, y'all. He's the real deal. Y'all check him out. So, final thoughts. This is where I get into a little bit of fun, y'all. All right. My final thoughts on the film. Y'all that saw my 2024 prediction video that I dropped. It was a live video that I did on the 3rd day of December 2023. I was about to say 1993. Lord have mercy. 12/3/23. Okay. 12/3/23. The live video I did giving you my 2024 predictions, I talked about this being an 8-year, meaning what is up will go down if it's low vibrational, and what is down is going to come up if it's high vibrational. So we're going to see a flip of a lot of things. I think that this movie in and of itself is a microcosm of the energy that we're going to continue to see this year. I told y'all, everything that's high vibrational that has been struggling but putting in the work is coming up. And everything that's low vibrational, that's sitting up high, is coming down. I predicted, I said, everybody who has benefited off of lies is going to have the things that they benefited off snatched away from them. And those from whom or for whom the truth about was hidden, that truth is going to be brought to the light, and they're gonna rise up. This is what's happening. So now watch this, y'all. Let me give you a microcosm of that. This film showed that flip. What do I mean, Matt? You had A-list actors in this film playing B-list roles or supporting roles. Alfre Woodard had a supporting role and it wasn't even a main supporting role. She didn't have a main supporting role, if you will. Like, for example, Elijah was the main supporting actor. Elijah was, okay? Because he's the sidekick of the main character, which is played by Clarence, which is played by Lakeith Stanfield, okay? B-list actors were put into A-list roles in this film, okay? Supporting actors ended up being the main actors in this film. I just talked about the journey of Lakeith Stanfield and R.J. Seiler, okay? I just talked about that. So, yeah, y'all. So you had A-listers playing B-list. Look at Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, he had a whole movie where he was the main guy. He's playing a beggar in this movie. The guy who played Pontius Pilate, he had his own film. I believe it was called I forget it. I'll put it in the bar across the bottom of the screen. But he was a main character in that film. Okay, it wasn't crap. What was it called? Shatter or something like that. I'll put it in there anyway. So that's more year 8 Saturnian energy. You saw somebody who was a B-list actor being put in an A-list role, and you saw A-list actors being in B-list roles. That, I don't know if that was done intentionally or if that was by divine cosmic will, y'all. Divine cosmic will. So, what is the real story that most viewers missed? This film, to me, was another microcosm of the fulfillment of end times prophecy. And there are 3 relevant passages of scripture there. All right. In this film, you saw the truth about who the children of Israel. You saw a true depiction of the children of Israel in this film. You saw a true depiction. You also saw the illustration of how hypocritical religion is, and that the real ones aren't religious. All right. Now, what you didn't see a whole lot of, and maybe, this wasn't a story about the Messiah, it was about Clarence, so you probably weren't going to see this, but I say this all the time. The Messiah was not a religious man. The religious establishment hated him. Okay, he was hated by the religious establishment for teaching spiritual principles, but that's neither here or there. The real story that most viewers missed is the end times prophecy found in these passages of scripture. I'm going to read these and get off of here, y'all. The first one, Joel chapter 3, verse 1. End times prophecy in this film. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop right there. Behold, in those days and in that time. What days? The days we're in right now. When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Bring again meaning I'm ending it. I'm calling them back. I'm calling them back out of captivity. You are now starting to see the people of the book coming forward. The people of the book coming forward. Okay? Safar, the word Safar or Safar in Hebrew means book. So Sephardim means people of the book. You're seeing the real people of the book come forward. That's and it's depicted in this film because for the first time in my lifetime, you see a biblical movie where the characters are properly depicted. All right. The next passage of scripture, Jeremiah 30 and 18 through 24. Let's read that. Jeremiah 30 and 18 through 24. I'm going to do this and I'm going to wrap this up, y'all. I know this has been a long video. Thank y'all for those of you who are still here watching it. I know my tribe is still here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. I love y'all. Y'all have no idea how much I love y'all. Y'all are the real deal. Okay, Jeremiah 30 and 18 through 24. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents and have mercy on his dwelling places. Verse 19, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me. And I will punish all that oppress them, and their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me, saith the Lord? And ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. Behold, the whirlwind of the Lord goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it. We're in the latter days. This is the end of one story, which is connected to the beginning of the next. We're living in eternity, y'all. There is no end and no begin. There's no beginning and no end to eternity. There's only the end and beginning of new chapters. The new chapter expires, is old, and is put to rest, but it connects to the next new chapter. So it's just like spring to summer, to fall, to winter, to spring, to summer, to fall, to winter. Okay? The church got you thinking you live one time and you either spend eternity in heaven or hell, when the truth is energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just is. All right? So that was Jeremiah 30 and 18 through 24. In the latter days ye shall consider it. All of that. Verse 21 I like. It says, and their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. Here you go for the first time, y'all. You got a whole biblical movie done by a brother, with the majority of the cast being brothers and sisters, and done historically accurately, okay? With historical accuracy. Pay attention to that Jeremiah 30 and 21, because you're seeing it now. This film, you got a new film coming out, Hannibal, where Hannibal is played by Denzel Washington. Historical accuracy. This is going to make some people upset. But you know what? Time's up. Time's up. What is written has to be fulfilled before the books are finally sealed. All right? Last verse. Zephaniah 3 and 19 through 20. Zephaniah 3 and 19 through 20. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame, in every land where they have been put to shame. James Samuel. I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. There's your example right there. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise among all the people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord. It's happening, y'all. It's happening. It's happening. It is happening. So, the story you missed while watching the film is that this movie was a little bit of prophecy being fulfilled. I read those prophecies at the end for y'all. I know I held y'all all the way to the end, so I'm not going to hold you much longer. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. All right? And if you are new to my channel and you like being entertained, educated, uplifted, inspired, hit that subscribe button and make sure you have your notification bell set to all so that you will be notified when I upload and create new content. All right? Last but not least, family, y'all know how I end every last one of these videos. Oh, by the way, I'm an award-winning author. Check out the links to what I've written in the description box below. I promise you, you will be as thrilled as you were watching that James Samuel film. You will be just as thrilled with what I've written. Check the links out in the description box below. I'm an award-winning author, okay? All right? Anyway, y'all tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You have to show it. Love is a verb. It is a noun as well, but when we focus on the verb, the noun always takes care of itself. I love you guys. Peace, family.